the Paleo diet. What you need to know. My name is Tom Jones, Pharmacist, and you are on Tom Jones Pharmacist Live on YouTube Live. And thank you so much for being here tonight. We are going to talk about the Paleo diet. And if you've heard of it, great. If you've not heard of it, you're going to hear about it tonight. In the house tonight, Annie Doodle. Say hello to everybody on YouTube.
Hello, everyone.
On YouTube Live. Annie Doodle.
Yay.
All right, tell everybody hello.
Hello.
On YouTube Live.
On YouTube Live.
She is happy to be here also. All right, I hope you are interested in learning about different diets. That's what I'm all about. The best diet for you and GetMoving.live are two programs that we're coming out with. The Best Diet Club will be out very, very soon, and almost immediately out will be GetMoving.live. And in our series of programs, we go over all the diets, and we go over how they work, what they're good for, if it's for you. So you'll be in the know of what is going on. So, without further ado, let's talk about the Paleo diet. You know, if you don't know what the Paleo diet is, or if you've never heard of it before, no worries. Next few minutes, we're going to give you exactly what this way of eating is really all about. And at its core, Paleo is a lot more lifestyle than it is a diet. So the Paleo lifestyle is about eating real, whole, natural foods and avoiding all the processed foods. You see, the modern diet is exactly that. It's modern. Humans ate in a paleo style since the beginning of time, before starting the agricultural revolution, where we started to eat grain and sugar-based foods, as well as processed foods. So, let's talk about where this paleo came about from. The idea behind paleo is to eliminate those processed foods, eliminate the chemicals, eliminate the vegetable oils, and actually the other additions to that modern diet that is going to be harmful, detrimental to our lifestyle. And that's how we move to our energy levels and how we feel and how we do on a daily basis. Now, what I'm talking about is, how do you feel? Do you feel good? Have you put on extra weight? Well, we want to actually go over all the different aspects. For all those years that we ate paleo, humans hunted. They went out and found their food. They went way out because that's the only way. There was no supermarkets. There were no cars. There were no anything, so they became hunters. They gathered up the material, the food, and they ate meat, they ate fruit, and a lot of berries back then when they were in season. And this meant that they got around a lot. This meant that they were not sedentary. They were active. They went from place to place. They had to be strong. They had to be really fit. They had to be healthy. If you weren't, you didn't survive. It was the end of the game. It was the end of the line of the journey. So in order to survive, their bodies became conditioned to efficiently using, guess what? Fat. Fat as fuel. Fat for energy, not the carbs. So let's talk about that. eventually agriculture came into being, and the human diet at that point really changed, and it changed in a big way, dramatically. And you actually had the agricultural revolution that occurred about 10,000 years ago. And it introduced wheat and breads and grains into our diet. So we went from the hunter to the bread man. Isn't that a way of thinking? Today's modern diet contains things like, there's a 6-letter word out there that exemplifies what I'm talking about. It's called gluten. And it was nowhere to be found back yonder, back in the Paleolithic times. There was no gluten. Things like wheat, rye, cereals, barley, the gluten part wasn't there. And guess what? We didn't have much inflammation. In fact, we really didn't have inflammation hardly at all. So, gluten's been recognized to cause inflammation. And inflammation is pain. It's when the body doesn't get along well in the gut. And it has been widely given attention to with people like Kelly Ripa, who have famously gone gluten-free. Now, it's also been placed out there as a theory, not proven, because it's really being investigated even now, that gluten can actually play a role in the increase of cancer. The increase of cancer, cardiovascular disease, and all the things that relate to these awful illnesses and diseases. Another ingredient that actually is in the modern day diet is linked to possible health problems is lectins, Lectins. They are present in grains. And if there's wear and tear on our GI tract, you actually produce a longer time of healing. Wear and tear on our intestinal tract causes us not to heal nearly as well. And then there's the number one problem in the world today. Number one, as far as food, as far as chemicals, as far as everything. This thing called sugar, S-U-G-A-R. Now let me tell you, if you want to really hurt somebody, increase the sugar intake. Don't forget, sugar's everywhere. And it's an everything product now. You look at a package of anything and it's got the sugar content. Sugar has to be burned. But another aspect of modern times is how people have become. Look around. How many people sit on the couch? They used to call this couch potatoes. I don't know what you call it now, but it's inactivity. It's called Mr. Blooper because you're blooping up, you're building up the amount of weight that you have around your waist. And the less you exercise, the less you move, the more blubber you get. Maybe that's the good word. Get on the body. We sit and work. We sit and watch our entertainment. We sit in front of our computers. Uh-oh, I'm in trouble now. We sit with our cell phones, checking out everything right here, We don't move. Social media, texting, smartphones. Holy cow. People don't move, and they aren't active the way they used to be. So we sit and we get more calories put around our waist than we do as far as burning them off. We don't move like we used to, and we gain weight. This becomes a problem. This becomes a big problem. This becomes a huge problem. When we're talking about the one item that will put more weight on you and give you diabetes in a heartbeat, sugar. So in the Paleolithic period, humans were lean, mean, strong, and fit. They were tough. They were very tough. They knew how to hunt. They knew how to gather their food. They went and got it because they knew they had to eat. So nowadays, it's all day, every day, sitting, and we're not farming. We're not growing crops. We actually are consuming the food, the made-up food, the play food, I call it, and all during the day. You just have a tremendous accumulation. The Paleolithic folks didn't sit around playing on their Apple iPhones. If they did, they starved. They starved to death. So all that sugar being consumed in a modern diet, which is awful, it's just absolutely awful. It goes right here. It's not burned off because of the sedentary lifestyle that actually is in the diet of today, which means energy spikes. It means energy crashes. It means related health problems. It means diabetes. It means cardiovascular disease. It means everything horrible. Cancer. Why are we doing this to ourselves? It's like shooting ourselves in the foot. So, we have to become more like the old days. Get rid of the diabetes. Get rid of the blood pressure problems. One of the big myths that the paleo diet has helped to dispel is the outdated notion that eating fat makes you fat. It just doesn't work that way. This was a big deal when the high carbohydrates, the craze started back in the 80s. Back in the 80s, you had everyone obsessed with the amount of fat calories that they were eating. Almost every food in existence ended up as a low fat or a no fat version. But guess what the fat got replaced with? S-U-G-A-R, sugar. And we can tell by just looking at people now, 25 to 30 pounds more weight on your body than it was in 1980. 2019, there's 25, 30, 35 pounds of extra fat on our bodies. Fat's a crucial nutrient when it comes to our health. Dietary fat is needed to be an optimal, well-functioning and healthy body. But it's all the chemicals. It's all the preservatives. It's all the sugar in our diets that lead to the obesity problem, the crisis that we're in now, the weight gain, the health issues, the energy problems, and everything else associated with this real lethal problem. All right, let's keep going. Chances are you've heard the term paleo before, and likely in close association with CrossFit. Yeah. Paleo, short for Paleolithic, is a term that refers to the specific type of diet or eating style that actually is in the Paleolithic era. Also known as, guess what? The Stone Age. Yes, as a time which primitive people, the cavemen, lived as hunters, and they gathered all their foods. Their diets consisted of whatever animals that they could kill or food that they actually could accumulate and gather up. So this essentially means any foods that are in their rawest or truest form and available in nature. Now think back in history class and think of the images that you have of the cavemen. They're lean, they're athletic, they're muscular people. And I think it's safe to say that if cavemen sat around eating Oreos all day long on their trays, their golden trays, their bodies would be more like what we see today in our population as we go out shopping, go out to the Walmarts and to the Targets and to all the other places, to the malls. We see a huge conglomeration of a lot of extra weight. And there's got to be something that we are doing that worked, right? That's where the paleo diet advocates actually come into play. They derive their argument for why it works. They believe our bodies were physiologically created to be able to properly digest and get the energy, derive the energy from the original foods that our forefathers, our ancestors ate back in the olden days. But with the incorporation of farming and agriculture, grains are now being grown in such abundance and everywhere, and disease risk increase along with the crop. The work required to obtain the food has diminished incredibly over the past hundreds of years. And all of this has been accumulated over now thousands of years. This diet isn't just for people looking to shed some pounds. It's for anybody who wants to feel and work and actually have a life again, to operate better as a human being. And those who practice the paleo diet see a plethora of health benefits resulting from what they're doing. All right, let's keep going. Let's keep going and go over more items. And let's talk about what the paleo diet consists of and how it works to help us. You get increased vitamins, minerals, and antioxidant consumption. You get improved blood sugar control. You get improvements in cardiovascular health, in the triglyceride levels in the body, the cholesterol levels, the blood pressure levels in the body. You get a natural detox for the whole body, better sleep, and to top it all off, how about weight loss? And those of you who are not fans of calorie counting or macro tracking, the paleo diet has an advantage. We went over the norm the other day, and wow, talk about NOM. It's N-O-O-M, NOM. And while you certainly can track these things, if you wish, they aren't essential in the paleo diet. If you eat only paleo-approved foods, which are nuts, fruits, eggs, grass-fed meats, healthy oils, the vegetables, you're going to actually constantly be putting healthy and nourishing foods into your body. And these foods aren't the ones causing our worldwide obesity and disease-ridden epidemic. The processed foods, the sugars, are what are the culprits. Whether you think the paleo diet sounds great or not, it's hard to argue against eating natural, unprocessed foods. After all, our world wasn't slowly killing itself until we started walking down Guess what? The supermarket aisles in the middle of the store through barrages of processed foods. There's a saying that history repeats itself. Yes, history repeats itself. Perhaps this time, actually, we're going to be able to listen. We ought to listen, yes. When you take on any new type of eating lifestyle, it can seem overwhelming figuring out, hey, what foods do I put into my body? How do I go about this whole process of the paleo diet? And we actually want to see you can and cannot. You should and should not be eating. So we're going to go over that in just a minute. Even more so, it can be confusing if you don't understand the reasons why certain foods are good for you and others are best just in moderation. So the ones good for you, you're going to eat more. The paleo diet is no exception. There are many foods that are considered paleo friendly, but there's also basic meat in the eating lifestyle, and these we have a list of some of those foods right now. We're going to go over all the different aspects of those foods. And first, we're going to actually talk about the meat section. Salmon, full of omega-3s, protein, iron, zinc, niacin, vitamin B6, vitamin B12. These properties fight inflammation. They contain antioxidants. They actually contain the right things in the body. They supply a healthy source of protein, and they help keep your heart, the most important organ in the body, healthy. Lean beef, lean cuts of beef pack a protein punch without a high amount of saturated fats. And there's actually 29 cuts of lean beef to choose from. Then you have chicken, versatile and healthy. Chicken fulfills your protein needs while giving you a variety of foods to cook, a variety of different ways to cook and how to prepare it. Opt for boneless, skinless chicken. It provides about 20% of the recommended daily intake of selenium, super important, and potassium, incredibly important in the body. Turkey, that contains protein, vitamin C, and iron, a great source of protein that can be bought either ground, sliced, or as an entire breast. Then there's veggies. Veggies actually are in this arena, and we've got beets in a class of its own. Beets contains betalains. That's a phytonutrient that has anti-inflammatory, antioxidant, and detoxification properties. Possible anti-cancer benefits has also been linked to beets. Kale, extremely high in vitamin A, vitamin K, and C. It's packed also with antioxidants, the carotenoids, and the flavonoids, and the lutein, which helps the body flow smoother, the blood flow through the body, throughout the body. Spinach, as with most veggies, low caloric content means you can eat a large quantity. It contains magnesium, vitamin C, folic acid, just to name a few, and it can possibly reduce your risk of cataracts and macular degeneration. And then there's other items that are actually in the paleo diet, and these are eggs. Believe it or not, a long time ago they said don't eat eggs. Eggs are a great source though of protein and fat, the omega-3s included. And to top it all off, eggs have all of the 9 essential amino acids that contribute to a daily amino acid function for us, and also calcium, very, very important in the body. Then you've got avocado, full of potassium and healthy fats. Avocado consumption has been linked to lower chances of contracting metabolic syndrome and possibly increasing HDL, the good form of cholesterol. And then there's almonds, actually portable and filling. Almonds are a great source of good fats in the body. And the almonds are great on-the-go snacks because they contain calcium, magnesium, fiber, and protein. Because paleo diets don't incorporate dairy, this is a great way to get your calcium intake up and at 'em. And as you can see, none of these paleo diet foods are much different choices than that of a healthy person, irrespective of diet. And you eat this on a regular basis. It's important to make sure that you're consuming an adequate amount of vitamins, minerals, especially if you're cutting stuff out of your normal diet as you transition to paleo. You want to have the best diet for yourself, and you want to, above all, remember to make healthy choices, great choices of eating healthy as you go through this process. And because they make sense. They make sense for you. They make sense for me. Not because they fall into a specific diet or fad. Now, let's talk about the no-no foods. Here's the list that you really need to watch. And I'm going to grab a sip of water right here. And the no-no foods contain grains, barley, rye, wheat, among other things. They actually are the gluten-containing ingredients. Avoiding grains means no bread, no pasta, sugars. Leave those alone. And they include the high fructose corn syrups. So, therefore, no soft drinks, no fruit drinks, no ice cream, pastries, candy. You don't want those anyway. Sugars will promote weight gain. It'll give you diabetes, energy crashes, high blood pressure issues, and among other health issues, you just need to stay away from those. Legumes, this means no beans, no lentils. Dairy, stay away from all low-fat dairy products. If you don't have problems digesting dairy, it may be okay to actually consume some full-fat dairy products, like raw whole milk or certain cheeses, but only in very, very small amounts. Hydrogenated vegetable oils, that's the canola, the corn, the cottonseed, the soybean, the sunflower. Those oils cause unhealthy levels of inflammation. That's pain. We don't want pain. We want to have no pain. And remember, the essential fatty acids mentioned above, actually one of the major problems today is our unbalanced intake of omega-3 to omega-6 fatty acids. A major factor is that unbalanced intake. You can get way too much of omega-6 fatty acids in all of the oils. So you want to have more, you want to have a 1-to-1 ratio. 1 part omega-3, 1 part omega-6. Stay away from margarine. Margarine was created as a healthy alternative to butter, but it turns out butter is the healthy option. Margarine is the deadly trans fat option. Stay away from margarine. And artificial sweeteners, things like aspartame, saccharin, sucralose, acetylene, potassium, are to be avoided on the paleo diet. Obesity, my friends, is an epidemic, and many health problems have been connected with obesity. Obesity has been linked to diets high in processed foods, high in processed carbohydrates, and excess sugar intake. The potential health problems include heart disease, the #1 killer out there, type 2 diabetes, it's in the epidemic session now, cancer and stroke. But many of you are looking at this list and you're going to say, hey, I can't eat that. I can't go without eating that, and thinking you could never follow a paleo lifestyle. Well, listen, it's going to be a little difficult to start, but I guarantee you that the paleo diet for a period of time will allow you to get healthier. Now, I don't advocate the paleo for long term because I don't think that a lot of people are going to be able to be on the paleo diet a long time, but you can see a list of foods that you can actually eat while you're actually on the paleo diet. So for good weight loss at the beginning, paleo is probably a good choice. Long term, it's probably not a good choice. And if you have some of the health issues, it's probably going to be very, very difficult to maintain. This has been a great analysis of the paleo diet. My name is Tom Jones, Pharmacist, and you have been on Tom Jones, Pharmacist Live with My Wellness Train. Tonight's session was with the paleo diet, what you need to know, the best diet for you, and GetMoving.live. Coming soon, the Best Diet Club. Annie Doodle,
Yes.
tell everybody good night
Good night
on YouTube Live.
on YouTube Live.
All right, my name is Tom Jones, Pharmacist. Here is my favorite song.
My Wellness Train, all aboard. You are on My Wellness Train. My Wellness Train, all aboard. You are on My Wellness Train.